and very reassuring as well, because if it is that you have energy to power your investment and your development, you needed the right person and a mother from the African perspective to drive that. Thank you very much. He needs another round of applause. And to the General for his generosity as well. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor and privilege of presenting to you one very special person who is pivotal to our investment summit this afternoon. She happens to be the first woman to be elected speaker in the history of the Parliament of Uganda. She is also currently member of Parliament for the Kamuli District Women's Constituency, a position she's held since 1989. She's a lawyer, a politician, who has also served as the Speaker of the Parliament of Uganda. She did that between 2011 and 2021. Currently, as I said, she is the first Deputy Prime Minister of Uganda and the Minister for East African Community Affairs in the Cabinet of Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the first Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for East African Affairs, the Right Honourable Rebecca Kadaga.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Let me first, sorry, it's afternoon. I'm still on Uganda time in my head. Let me first thank Willie Muteza and his team for relentlessly marketing Uganda over the years. This is the 15th edition. I'm really happy because I've been part of this from the inception. So thank you so much. And let me thank the participants because they're here faithfully and regularly every year. Thank you so much. Your Excellencies, Ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to address you today at a time when East Africa, and indeed Africa, stands at historic crossroads. Our continent is writing its economic narrative through deeper integration, bold reforms, and strategic partnerships. The Africa Continental Free Trade Area aims to create a single continental market that's 54 countries with free trade in goods and services, stronger value chains, and enhanced economic growth. The East African community, one of the several regional blocs, has long been a champion of regional integration. You have been told that our president is actually the champion of integration in the region and on the continent. So our customs union, the common market, protocols, the cross-border infrastructure have set an example to Africa. But the opportunities before us today go beyond our region. We agree that more must be done to align with the Africa Continental Free Trade Area standards, reduce trade costs, remove non-tariff barriers, and deepen integration. And on this one, I wanted to talk about the mobility of the Africans on the continent. I believe you're aware that in 2016, there was issued an African passport which was supposed to facilitate freedom of movement of Africans on the continent. 2016. The rollout was to be completed by 2020. So if you were issued to the leaders, who by the way don't go to a lot of trouble, they don't use the usual immigration posts, but the people who really need them are the people of Africa. But I was doing some research. I'm told that to get an African passport takes 6 months to process. So I'm being supposed to process country by country, and I'm glad General Goa here, General Hose is here, PS is here. I hope you can do something about that, because Uganda is expected to issue the African passport to Ugandan citizens so they're able to go everywhere on this continent So that's one of the areas where we need to work so that our people are able to move and trade freely. But back to the community, of course the flags are here. We are Rwanda, Burundi, South Sudan, DRC, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and of course the Federal Republic of Somalia. We have a population of over 330 million people. It's a large market spanning from the Indian Ocean up the Atlantic and comes with 3,000 kilometers of coastline, which comes with Somalia. Our estimated GDP is at USD 312.9 billion, which is nominal. So this is one of the fastest growing blocks on the continent. We are aligning more deliberately with broader African community blocks, the COMESA, Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, the SADC Development Community, and the AfCFTA, as I've told you. So East Africa is not an island, but it's a vital hub in Africa's continental and global trade architecture. Trade facilitation as a driver of growth. Through various treaties and protocols, our governments are reducing tariffs and non-tariff barriers, introducing electronic single window systems, and streamlining border operations. Our aim is that the border should be open 24 hours a day. Of course, there are still areas where they work on the part of the day. That's limiting movement of people, but our aim is to have all the borders open 24 hours a day. The expansion of one border post and harmonization of customs standards are cutting transaction costs, enabling faster movement of goods and services across borders. For investors, this means access to seamless supply chains, lower risk and greater efficiency in moving capital, goods and people across borders. Regional infrastructure corridors. East Africa is the heart of the infrastructure renaissance. Corridors such as the Northern Corridor, the Central Corridor, the Upstate Corridor are not only connecting landlocked countries in the parts of Mombasa, Dar es Salaam and Djibouti, but also linking Africa to global markets. By the way, one of the plans we have on the standard gauge railway is to take the railway up to the Central African Republic in Isiro. The development of regional energy pools, digital connectivity highways, green infrastructure projects presents vast opportunities for the UK and global investors. Partner with us in bankable projects that deliver both economic returns and sustainable development impact. We also have the harmonized standards and market expansion. By aligning with the framework of COMESA, SADC, and AfCFTA, ES is part of a market of 1.4 billion people with a combined GDP of 3.4 trillion. Harmonized product standards, mutual coordination agreements, industrial cooperation make it easier for business to scale across borders. For international investors, this means that investment in East Africa is no longer limited to 300 million customers of the EAC. It now unlocks access to the continental market. We have opportunities for the UK and global investors. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa integration landscape offers unique opportunities in trade facilitation technology, digitization of customs, logistics and supply chain platforms, infrastructure, finance and public-private partnerships, ports, railways, renewable energy, digital corridors, standards and certification, partnerships in technical training, laboratories, regulatory frameworks to meet your global benchmarks, value chain development, agro-processing, manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, and green technologies. Potential gains. What is Africa stands to unlock? We would unlock increased intra-African trade, which currently remains low, but with potential for large welfare gains. For example, one study showed that East Africa could gain 1.8 billion in welfare, more than 1.1 billion in increased exports, and creation of millions of new jobs under the full implementation. Reduction in transport costs and transit times. The goods move from Bassa to other inland ports. Improvements have reduced border delays and transit times significantly. Better integration of value chains, agriculture services, industry, meaning more value-added production rather than exploiting raw materials. Increased competitiveness for East Africa products in other African markets, Improved livelihoods for citizens, especially SMEs, women, and youth who often are mostly impacted by trade barriers and lack of information. There are some challenges. Disparities in the capacity among partner states. Some countries have less readiness in terms of infrastructure, regulatory systems, etc. Some non-tariff barriers remain stubborn. Some customs delays, inconsistent implementation, roadblocks in some areas, overlapping regulation, rules of origin, complexity of the rules of origin, and adding them with the African Continental Free Trade Area without having domestic industries, financing gaps, both for hard infrastructure and for soft systems. Political will and coordination, our will is not at the same level. The issue of sovereignty still remains high in the minds of many bureaucrats and governments. Awareness of private sector engagement. Sometimes the small and medium enterprises don't know how to access Africa Continental Free Trade Area markets. Information asymmetries and logistical costs remain high. What needs to happen to speed up integration? Finalize and operationalize all domestic strategies for the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, the laws, the regulations, price controls, standards, compliance, accelerate removal of NTPs through clear enforcement mechanisms, monitoring and sanctions, improve trade facilitation, simplify customs procedures, enhance one-stop border posts, invest in infrastructure, roads, rail, ports, logistics to reduce the cost time for cross-border port trade, build capacity, customs officials, regulatory bodies, business support, etc. All these areas that we need to work on to ensure that our people really benefit, but also strengthen regional cooperation among the regional economic blocs to speak with unified voice under the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, especially for negotiation of tariff schedules, rules of origin, service liberalization. The UK, with strong tradition of financial services, innovation, and technology transfer, is a natural partner. Global investors who embrace Africa's integration story will reap first-mover advantages tomorrow. The success of the EAC, COMESA, AfCFTA, and SADC depends on collaboration between governments and the private sector, between Africa and its international partners, and between the vision and execution. And then, let me just remember what General Potter was talking about. Do you have a vision? Do your people know that they have a vision? How do they follow it? Let me be clear, East Africa is not just seeking assistance. We are seeking investors, innovators, and partners. Africa is rising. East Africa is at the center of that rise. The convergences in our regional blocks under Africa Continental Free Area, it's not only good for Africa, it's good for global business, for inclusive growth, and for the shared future we all desire. I invite the UK and global investors present here today to seize these opportunities to co-invest in East Africa's journey and part of shaping Africa's economic transformation story. Thank you very much. For God and my country. Rebecca Kadaga. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think the Right Honourable Deputy Prime Minister needs another round of applause for two specific reasons in addition to her being here. She's been part of this event for several years, and anytime it's happened, she's made sure that even if it has to be that she's been here the day of the event, she'll fly in. Thank you very much, ma'am. And it's worthy to note that she just got in this morning, and she hasn't even had a rest. Straight from the airport, she's been here to deliver her speech. Another round of applause, please.